What's going on, kids? It's your favorite uncle, and we have another change maker on the podcast today. She's an Army veteran. She works every day to support our troops and help them get their benefits. And just for funsies, after she served her time in the military and she served our troops, decided to become an IFBB Pro just for funsies. Just small, little significant achievements like that. My first question is always, how's your mental health, love?
It's good. And I kind of bounce back and forth because with the very nature of my job, I do give a lot of myself to my veterans, and I aspire to excellence, and so I try to give the best care that I can, and so I'm constantly giving a lot of myself, and so the way that I take a little bit back for me is through my journey with health and fitness and competing and all that. So I do that strictly for me and to work on my mental health. So I think it's important that I take that time for myself and give a little bit of that energy back to me. So, but I'm in a good place right now.
Outstanding. My first question is, what made you want to join the military? And what was your MOS? And how long did you serve for?
Yeah. So I joined when I was 17. I joined the Army National Guard, and so what got me into it, my brother, who was a year older than me, he had also joined the military, and I saw the great things that it had done for him. And so I was like, I think I can do this. And then also, I was looking for a way to help pay for school. Back at that time, there wasn't like a lot of financial aid available to me. So I did it two part as my brother inspired me, and also because I was wanting a way to help pay for school. And so I did 6 years from 2004 to 2010. And in that time frame, I deployed. I served over in Kuwait for 13 months total. Um, and my MOS was 42 Alpha, sorry, which is Human Resource Specialist. So I didn't do anything in the medical realm at that time. And so, yeah, 6 years, 42 Alpha. Was there anything else that you asked? I don't know if I missed it, but
First and foremost, thank you for your service. And it
of
looks like
course.
you were able to, what we call in the military, cross the wire. But how was boot camp for you? Let's start with boot camp. How was it?
It was interesting for me. So just a little bit of a background, and this is going to really come full circle with my fitness journey. Prior to going into the military, I didn't like work out. I wasn't an athlete. I wasn't any of that. So when I had graduated and I went into the military, I barely made it in. Okay. So I was overweight, but I squeaked in the body fat percentage. So just so you know, for the listeners, at that time, 30% was the maximum that you could be to go into the military. And I was 29.999%.
Wait a
Uh,
minute, time out. It's hard
yeah,
for me to picture you as a person because I only know you from what I see now. So it's just
yeah.
very hard for me to picture you as someone who was borderline to the very, very last percentage, almost not being able to serve in the military. And now to look at you now, that is a big accomplishment.
Yes. And so this is really for any of you out there who aspire. You don't necessarily have to be aspire to be an IFBB pro or anything like that, but just to get into general health and fitness is for everybody. So anyhow, so yeah, so I went into the military. So when I went to boot camp, like I said, I didn't really have a baseline for fitness, and so it was brand new territory for me. So it was challenging. I wasn't in shape or anything like that. And you're expected to do PT every single day. You're expected to pass PT tests, all of that. But one thing about me as well, I've always been up for a challenge. I'm very competitive, so I stepped up to the plate and I got it done. So like I said, it was challenging, but I got into a groove. And like from the time, so the boot camp was 9 weeks. I lost like 20 pounds in that time. And when I finished both boot camp and AIT, when I came out of all of that, it was the best I had not only looked, but felt ever that I could recall. So it was good for me from that perspective. It helped to build resiliency because they will test you. in the military. Discipline, um, just so many different things so many different skills and so many different things you can learn within the military. And so while it was challenging, it was also a very valuable experience for sure.
Now, one more question about boot camp. How often
Yes.
did you get smoke on your way to there physically fit? And for those
I
who
got
do not know
smoked.
what being smoked is, if you ever joined the military, if you're one of those people kind of lagging, they will smoke you out your boots. So, how often did you get smoked on your journey up to the
Well,
standard?
if you have a military background, then you know the first, like, you're getting smoked like every day for the first like few weeks because you're in the different phases. So yeah, it was like I think as soon as I got off of the bus, because I remember they took us in a van. I went literally from school because just a little bit more information on my background. I did the delayed entry program, so that meant I went to school for a year, and then I literally went from college in a van, packed up all my stuff, and they took me down to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. And as soon as I got off of that van, they were smoking us, literally, as soon as we got off. So every single day for like weeks, and then, by the time you get to the third, fourth, fifth week, things start to kind of slow down. I mean, you're still getting smoked for sure, but it's not like every single day and like what it felt like every hour you were getting smoked. So, yeah, it just, as you said, as I said, it had levels to it.
Those the good old days. They smoked out your boots.
Yes, I absolutely was. Man, oh man, I still
Nah.
have those pictures. I cringe looking at that stuff. I'm like, man, how did I make it? But I did. I did.
Hey man, you have done something that most people are not brave enough to do. How was Kuwait? How was that on you mentally? Because you went in during the interesting time. So how was that over there for you
I
mentally?
did. So, and I was really young at the time. So, as I told you, I joined right out of high school. And just so you know, too, I enlisted at 17. So, my parents had to sign for me. When I got deployed, I had just turned 19. So, I was extremely young. And then, to leave your family and everything that you know and be with the unit that I barely even knew these people because basically once I got out of AIT in September of 2004, we were deploying in December of 2004. And on top of all of that, like this wasn't an active duty. I wasn't active duty, so I wasn't spending a lot of time with my fellow like battle buddies and things. We would only see each other 1 week in a month, right? So it was a lot for me mentally, but I had some really great mentors and sergeants, first sergeants, squad leaders who looked out for me because I was the youngest person in the entire unit. I was it. And so I had that guidance and people looking out for me. So I attribute getting through what I think would have been an extremely tough year. They made it manageable. My captain, or the leader of the entire platoon, she was awesome as well. But it was definitely a lot. But and I think I've carried this throughout my entire life. I just try to win each day, right? I didn't really think. I try not to think too far ahead. My goal was always just like, all right, let's just get through the day, and win each day, and that was kind of my focus.
Yeah, because even though you know you're in the human resource aspect of being across the wire, people don't realize it's rough on you guys too, because you get to see the losses that happen on a daily basis. You get to see those close calls no matter what. So, what was your closest call when you rode in Kuwait?
I would say when we heard IEDs like go off, like we were never like within because I was at Camp Navistar, so that was like kind of on the border to like Iraq, and so we would hear like the IEDs. And sometimes, and as like I said, I was the youngest and also the lowest ranking at the time, so I got like the worst duty. So sometimes I would have to stand guard, things like that, and we would hear like IEDs and things go off. It was never like in the immediate vicinity, but that would probably be my if you will, closest call when I was on deployment.
Hey, that no matter what the circumstances, that still takes a mental toll because at any second, you know it can go down. And I don't think people discuss
Absolutely,
that enough.
they don't. I agree.
Yes. Now, what led to bodybuilding? How did we go from, all right, I'm a veteran. I was barely at the standard, but I'm going to take this crazy journey to be the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. And not even the 1% of the 1%, but someone who's going to make it up to getting a pro card. So, how did you start your journey into bodybuilding?
So this is a full circle moment. Once I got out of the military, I maintained fitness and I found my love of it through that. And so I heavily, after the military, heavily got into like calisthenics, circuit style type training with a little bit of strength training sprinkled in there. But it wasn't until I remember this pivotal moment. I was doing some pull ups at Planet Fitness, and this really big swole guy came to me and he saw me doing pull ups because I guess you just don't see a lot of women doing that. So it stood out to him. So he came up to me and he says, "Excuse me, do you compete?" And I was like, "Compete in what?" I didn't even know what he was talking about, what that meant. And he said, "Bodybuilding." And it was laughable to me. I was like, "No way. No, I don't compete in anything. I don't know anything about bodybuilding. There's no way I could do that. I don't have the kind of muscle these women have." And he was like, "Well, a lot of women think about like bodybuilding, but there's other categories like figure and bikini that you could maybe look at." And I said, "Okay, well, I'll look into this." But it wasn't until that next year, a battle buddy of mine, we were in the same unit, but we had both gotten out. But we were still following each other on Facebook, and she competed in the bikini show. And I was like, "Oh my God, I want to look like that. Like, I think I could do that, right?" But at the time, I was still like freshly out. I was like freshly minted out of school, and as we all know, or most of us know, bodybuilding is very expensive. So at the time, I wasn't ready to like take on the financial cost of that. But fast forward in 2018, one of my best friends, she did a show. It was more of a weight loss kind of thing, right? And I said, "Okay, this is it. I'm gonna do it. I'm ready. I want a challenge. I've been working out in the gym. I've been doing my thing for years. So I'm gonna take it to the next level." So at that point, I started researching coaches when I lived in Philadelphia, and the rest was kind of history. I did a 12-week prep with my first coach from Team. His name is Joe Franco from Team Franco, and the rest was kind of history. Once my heels hit the stage, I kind of felt at home.
Now, how nervous were you that first show?
I wasn't because I didn't really know what I was doing, right? So I had no idea what I was. I was very much wet behind the ears. I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew I was there to have fun. I was going to show my hard work, and that was it. And that's, I guess, the naivety. I guess me being naive like that was kind of a good thing because I didn't put that pressure on myself. I mean, I was looking at posing videos on YouTube from like 2015, which they at the time, this was 2018 when I did my first show. So they were a bit outdated, but not that much. Yeah, so I was just wanting to have a good time. I put my suit on. I ordered some suit offline. I don't think I had the right heels. Like it was kind of a mess. But somehow I ended up now this was when I was competing with the OCD. So for listeners who don't know, that is that's one of the natural organizations um for competitors. But anyway, so I did my first show. I got second in like novice and maybe like fifth or sixth in open. And I was so happy. I was like, "Oh my God, I placed." Like I didn't even care like what I got. I was just like, I was very happy to be there. And so I'm happy that I was like that because like I said again, I didn't put like too much pressure on myself. Like, "Oh my God, I want to do so well." No, it wasn't like
So
that
how
at all.
long did it take you to really hit your stride and be to that professional level? Because people don't realize it's people who've been trying to become a professional for their life and never get to that level. So how long did it take you to really hit your stride and really figure it out to get that pro card?
Yeah, so let me just kind of walk you through the journey. So 2018, I did a couple of shows, and then at which point, so I had only been doing like bodybuilding style type training for like a few months leading up into that show, right? I had like a good foundation from the circuit training and the calisthenics that I was doing, but I was never doing like bodybuilding type style workouts, right? So, and then when I did Well, and I did. So they at that time in 2018 they had something called the OCD Nationals. And so I went to that and I got second place and I missed my pro card within the natural organization by one spot. That was the moment I knew. I was like, oh no, no, no. I definitely want to get serious about this and I want to turn pro. Again, this was not within the NPC and IFBB. This was within the OCD. And I did accomplish that. So when I came back in 2019, I won the Yorton Cup, like amateur overall, and got my pro card in OCD. And then that same year, I took the leap and competed in the NPC. And then, and I placed, I won the novice overall at the NPC show. And then I got second in open, which qualified me for nationals. This was like my third show ever, you know. But when I got serious about it, I hired a posing coach. I got the correct suit. I really put time and effort into it, and you know, my training and nutrition and everything really dialed in both in season, off season, if you want to call it that. And then by 2020, COVID year, we can talk. That's a whole other conversation. I turned pro that year in November of 2020.
Right. I noticed you said bodybuilding is expensive. So for those who are looking to get into the game, roughly on a low end and a high end, how much do you think it would cost someone to enter the world of bodybuilding with coaching, posing, food, entry for the competition, outfits, all the stuff that goes into it?
Oh my gosh. Even at the barrier to entry, even the lowest level for like a prep, because you got to think about it. A prep is going to be anywhere between, I don't even like to say 12 weeks because that's for someone who's really like dialed in. For most people, you're probably going to need like at least 16 weeks to get ready, 16 to 20 weeks, realistically. On the low end, I mean, it's in the thousands. I would say 3 to 5,000 because you got to think the suit. Well, even before that, nutrition. If you're doing any like supplementation, you're paying for a coach, which is probably going to be anywhere between 250 to 400 a month, and obviously on the high, it can go higher than that depending on who you hire. Um, there's just so much, and then everything for the stage, like I said, posing, coaching, suits, heels, and then for ladies, hair, makeup, you have to pay for that. Entry fees. You also have you have your NPC and or IFBB Pro card that you have to get along with the entry fees you pay as an amateur competitor. So it's in the like low thousands to even start.
Jeez. Now, how much is the grand prize if you manage, or whatever prize if you manage to take it home?
If you're referring to amateur, I mean, it's not really a whole lot. Like sometimes you'll get like a gift card to like a suit company or to like a meal prep company, but it's not really a whole lot. It isn't until you get to the pro league, if you place like top three or four, or sometimes even five, you'll get prize money.
Okay, that's not bad, but it
Yeah.
takes a lot of sacrifice to get there. And one thing I
Uh,
noticed about these cuts, because I'm beginning my first cut, and as a power lifter who used to like to make fun of you guys, who used to always be in our little powerlifting circles, I'm
mhm.
I'm sorry, and I apologize because now I understand. And one thing I noticed from this cut I'm going through is your mind does sometimes play tricks on you and tell you you're hungry, go eat. So have you ever suffered from something like that when your mind
Oh,
absolutely plays
100%.
1000% tricks on you all the time?
100%. And let me tell you something too. Um, I, I was not perfect. Even going into my pro card win, there were times where I might have overeaten by like a little bit. And I'm like, oh my God. So I was never like perfect. But yeah, I had to fight that voice because it's really mental, especially when you start to get really lean. The body will try to go into like a protection mode and they'll tell you that you need to eat. So you have to fight that. So mentally, there's a lot that goes into it because you're achieving elite levels of leanness that most people will never ever even get close to in a lifetime. So it takes a lot of mental fortitude to get there for sure.
Sis, I'm telling you right now, I am fighting every demon in the world. And I work at a federal government building, and every day I x-ray someone, I'm smelling Popeyes, Burger King, onion rings, and all the good stuff that you cannot have. And I'm just fighting every demon I can. And I
Yeah.
commend you people for doing this because I did not know until I
Mhm.
started this cut. I had no idea what you guys suffer. And my God.
Yeah, and I think what makes it even more challenging is that, once you do get really lean, so not only are you fighting with just the physical aspect of things, just being lean and like not having as much strength and energy, but then you're also still expected to perform. You still got to go to the gym and do all these things, even while being so lean and so hungry. So there's a lot of discipline that goes into it. And that really relates back to what I was saying about just winning the day. You really get to that point. You're like, I just gotta check the boxes, right? And get through the day. And that's always like my focus. Just that's all you can do.
Now, how do you stay mentally in it and still stay physically strong while you're pretty much cutting back from everything that you enjoy?
Well, I think for me, I'm very much goal oriented. So whenever I put a goal in front of myself, like I plan to achieve that, I'm gonna go for it 110%. And I'm of the mindset either you're gonna do it or you're not. You have to make that decision for yourself. And it's okay. Like people need to understand too. Like bodybuilding is not for everybody, and that's fine. However, if this is something that you're gonna want to do, you just have to. It's like a light switch. You just like for me at least, I turn that light switch on. It's just like that's it. I'm laser focused and that is my goal. And I'm not going to stop until I reach it. And so if I have things in my head or something trying to tell me I don't want to do it, I just go back to the goal at hand, the goal that I set for myself. And I don't want to let myself down. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of my mentality when it comes to that.
Okay. Also, I noticed lately as I've been out to dinner with friends, family, and associates, they're eating all the bad stuff and they torment you because you can't have it right now. So, do you go through that as well when you out here in the
Oh,
regular world with your friends? They rub that butter on that bread and then they tease you with it.
yeah, there is such a thing as like fit shaming, I guess you would call it, where people are like shaming you for not making the same decision. So absolutely, I've dealt with that. However, what I've also learned is that those who fully support me, they might throw little jabs, like little jokes or whatever at me, but at the end of the day, they know what's up and they know how I am. Like once I say I'm in prep and I'm getting ready for a show, they know what's up. They know I'm gonna come out. I'm still gonna show up because I think it's important to not be a recluse and not completely remove yourself from that stuff because that's important too. But they know I'll just show up and drink my little, diet Pepsi or whatever, or some water with a lime or something, and I'm just gonna do my thing and be present. So yeah, I've dealt with it, but over the years, like people in my life now, they just know what time it is.
Yeah, it's nothing more funnier than if you're at the bar with your buddies and you're drinking water with lemon and lime, and they're tossing it back, tormenting your life. Shout out to all my friends, by the way.
We love you guys, really.
Yeah, I don't think people really understand the mental toughness it takes to be like, I'm going to make this sacrifice. I'm going to do this sacrifice for a period of time, and no matter what my body wants, I'm going to make it want something else. And I don't think people truly understand that sacrifice. How can you break that down for people that really don't know what we go through in this fitness world?
Yeah, it definitely is a sacrifice. Um, However, it's temporary. That's the thing you got to remember too, right? You're not going to always be getting ready for a show. You shouldn't be, because that's not healthy. That's a whole other conversation, right? So this is just a temporary sacrifice to reach your goal. And so that's just kind of how I look at it. Like when it comes to food, drinks, all that stuff, it's going to be there when I finish. It is not going anywhere. It will be right there once I'm ready for it again. And so I've just I think I've been doing this for so long that I've been able to achieve that level of balance for myself. I know when I'm off, I have a great time. I still get to the gym. I do all the things I want to do, but I'll go to happy hours. I'll do things. But once I'm locked in for a show and to compete, then it's a small sacrifice I'm making for a temporary amount of time.
That's a good point. Now, I noticed in your bio on IG, you have on there lifetime natty. And this is perfect for today's gym conversation because I'm at the gym. I'm at Goals. I'm minding my business, talking to the gym bro. And we're having a conversation. And he was asking me something about my deadlift. And I was like, on platform 479 at the gym, which we don't count. 485. And I was like, that's not bad for, I mean, a 47-year-old man who's natural. And then they said to me, being natural is overrated. Now, someone else who has lifetime natty in their bio, how does that statement make you feel? Because I'm going to tell you my response, but I want to hear what you have to say about that.
Mm, I mean, I guess I understand what they mean by that, but I don't particularly, I, I don't know that I agree with it because I feel like if you don't have those extra supplements kind of on board to help you build, because the thing is, I don't think it's overrated because building muscle, especially as a natural athlete, it takes a lot more time. You have to be a lot more patient, right? You don't have things to help you speed the process along. I'm not knocking those who use it because everybody can make their own informed decisions. However, it's simply not overrated because it takes that much. You have to have all variables in place, right? If you're really gonna put on a good amount of muscle naturally. You know, like I said, when we don't have those supplements, we just don't have that ability. So, what is your response to that? What did you think when that was said?
Oh, I told the gym homie flat out, I'm 47 years old. I'm a little too old to be running science experiments on myself. If
Good
it's
point.
creatine, water, and something to help out the joints and to keep me going. I'm a 47-year-old man. I'm a little too old in the game. Be trying to run some science experiment on myself to hope it works out. I
That's a
mean,
really good
I
point. And so I wanted to say this too. So just for the listeners out there, I didn't get into bodybuilding until I was 32. And I knew at that point in my life, I had already had a career and there was other goals that I had for myself. And so I was like, I don't want to be experimenting with any of that stuff. And then also I also like to challenge myself and see what my natural potential was. But I always knew when I got into bodybuilding for the love of working out and challenging myself. You know, that was never really on the table for me, nor is it now. So to your point, yeah, I get that for sure.
Yeah, good point. And then one thing about fitness for me personally, I do this because 5 years ago I was fat, out of shape, and every disease you can think of, high blood pressure, borderline diabetes, all that good stuff that you want to avoid, it was knocking on the door. And I made a conscious decision to try to save my life. So, hey, you know what I mean? I just want to be here. And I don't need to look like the Hulk to be here. I'm happy for what I got at 47 years old. And I was made able to kick some butt in a few competitions myself. So hey, not bad for a natural. Hey,
I like
kids,
that.
put the needle down and back away. Put the Anavar away, kids. Stay natty.
Yeah.
Now,
And yeah, go ahead, sorry.
now go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say really quick, just yes, natural is for me is the way to go. And at least if not for anything else, just see what your natural potential is first before you go reaching for something. People don't have all the variables at play. Nutrition, sleep, training. Are you doing all those things at an optimal level before you even consider and for a long period of time? I'm not talking about just for a year or 2 years. I'm talking about several years. Have you done that over a long period of time? And then at which point, if you decide you want to dabble in that, then fine. But if you're just been working out for a couple of years and you want to start taking anabolics, I would not. That's not a good look at all, in my opinion.
Well, what I noticed that everybody wants something fast. They want to grow fast. They want to heal fast. They want to be able to cheat the system of how the body works as fast as possible. And
Mhm.
how does that make you feel? Because I was even talking to Coach V 2 weeks ago, And she put me on the game. A few of the young ladies in your business, they also get plastic surgery so they can look better faster. So how does that, you young ladies who try to stay as natural as possible, how does that feel when you're going into a fight and the fight is fixed?
Yeah, you almost feel like you're fighting a losing battle, right? Or you're trying to go up a hill that you'll never get to the top of, right? At least that's how I felt. And I'll never forget this. This was BC Pro Am, was it 2023 or 2020, 2023, I think it was. I competed in that show, and I remember one of the ladies backstage just telling me, she was like, "Oh yeah, most of these girls have BBLs or they get injections into their glutes to make them bigger." And it's just that was shocking to me. I was like, "Really?" She's like, "Oh, absolutely, yes." And so I'm just like, "Well, wow." I guess I'm never because within bikini, pro bikini, glute fullness is something that they really look at, and I was just like, "Well, I guess if I'm not doing that, I'm never gonna." Achieve the level of fullness that they're looking for. Yeah, so you hear about injections at certain muscle groups. I mean, it's insanity, and I don't think any of that's good. And so for me too, as a healthcare professional, we don't know the long-term effects of this stuff, and you're just shooting your body up with this stuff. I just there's not enough studies out there. I don't know. I don't agree with it. I don't think people should do it. And for me, and people will probably die on the hill to fight me on this, but I think it's cheating in my opinion. You're definitely cheating the system by doing stuff
Uh,
like that. But
Hey, I almost got ran out of powerlifting for saying water cuts is cheating, which I consider it cheating. I'm just like, if you're supposed to be 242, don't try to water cut down to 242 from 270 and then go back up and balloon back up to 270. And then I show up at 242 or sometimes 236 because I'm doing it the right way. But hey, what I mean, it's all cheating. It's just people don't have no morals. They have no standards, so why should I care?
yeah, and the health risks associated with that. Like I remember I was watching something on YouTube. I think it was like boxers, and apparently they do these extreme like water cuts to make weight. And I mean, these guys are dropping like 20 pounds in like a couple of days, and that is just screaming like throwing all your electrolytes and everything off balance. Your vital organs are fighting really hard, and that does not sound good. I don't know. People really go to
I
extreme
know.
lengths to get there.
Well, one of these days, maybe I'll show you some of these UFC weigh-in highlights where literally some athletes go up there near death, face sunken in. You can see the bones in their face, and somehow they still don't make weight because of the requirements of those weight cuts are ultimately ridiculous. I've seen people literally shuffle up there near death to try to make a weight cut, and unfortunately for them, they still don't make it. It's some of the craziest stuff you can ever see.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Now, what drove you to working for the veteran department? Because you served your time in combat. Most people they go off, they're like, I did my time. I don't want to have nothing to do with this no more. But you chose to do even more. So what drove you to do that?
Yeah. So once I got oh, see, I'm an occupational therapist. I work in rehab. And once I got my degree, I always knew I was either going to go back into the military as an officer. That was actually my first thing that I was going to do. I had talked to a recruiter, and I had done pretty much everything to go in as an officer, but then I just decided I didn't want to do it. And then I said, okay, well, I can go into the VA. It's kind of a full circle moment where I can still be around my fellow military without actually being in the military, and I get to serve. And I love that I get to help vets from like earlier eras, like Vietnam, Desert Storm, et cetera, who need our services. So yeah, it's an honor every day to get to serve my fellow men and women in arms for sure.
And I know that has to be stressful because unfortunately you get to hear all the horror stories.
I do. My patients, they definitely confide in me. There's something, and then when you work with veterans, it's a different beast because not only are because like I said, I work in rehab, so you're not only treating the physical aspect of the person, but you're also battling a lot of like mental health issues as well. And so you have to gear your treatment um, to kind of include that, right? So it's just a different beast. But it's one that I enjoy. I've been with the VA for 11 years. I actually made my 11 years just a few days ago on the 12th. So it's been awesome.
Well, happy anniversary, and thank you again. And to be
Yeah.
honest, I know a lot of people who've been across the wire, and most of my friends are military. I did not realize how serious some of these mental health issues were until my coach, Kevin, came to town, and I took him out to dinner, and they were doing the happy birthday celebration. They were clapping with the placemats, and I guess it sounded like gunfire, and
Mhm.
he shut down to the point he didn't move, he didn't blink. He had to put both his hands on the table and stay very still because it took him back to whatever dark place that was in his mind. And I was just like, oh my God, this is real. So, have you ever had a moment where you're like, this is real?
Yeah. So, like Fourth of July, for example, right? That's why a lot of veterans don't go to any of the celebrations and stuff because the fireworks, New Year's, when they're shooting off things, it sounds too much like, fire or like IDs or whatever going off. And so they really battle with post-traumatic stress disorder, hypervigilance, paranoia, anxiety. And you don't know when these things are going to rear their ugly head. Sometimes even just being in crowded spaces. So I know a lot of my vets, they avoid going to stores at certain times because they know it's going to be crowded and things like that. So yeah, I've seen it firsthand, like I'm still like millions of like thousands of times, just how much the mental health really affects these veterans on a day to day for
Thank you for highlighting that. And
sure.
how are you, though? You went over water, so how do you fight some of those mental issues from just, you heard the IEDs up close and personal. So how do you fight it yourself, other than fitness? And what do you do besides that to keep your mental health sharp?
Oh, that's a really good question. I guess for me, I guess because I wasn't like directly exposed to it, I wasn't in like actual, and I'm not trying to belittle anything that I did because I went over there, I served my time, and I recognize that. However, I wasn't like on the front lines, so I didn't actually see it. So I think that's what kind of makes the difference for me. But um, again, I can, and that's one of the reasons why I think I connect with a lot of my vets because I can relate to them on a very personal level. Um, but yeah, I would say it doesn't really affect me to that great of an extent. But it allows me to be able to be a better therapist and to treat my patients.
That's awesome because a lot of my fellow veterans do complain about the VA. So it's nice to know we have a good one out there who's an ally. Because
Yeah,
I heard 1,001 complaints about the VA. I don't know what you guys doing over there, but the complaint department is very low. So it's nice to hear we have an ally who's trying to fight for our veterans.
of course.
Now, what
Yep,
do
I
you
love.
think is the biggest issue over there with the VA, and how can we get some of those issues fixed?
Ooh, I don't even know that I can really answer that question. That's a very bureaucratic question. Um, I
We'll
think
talk about that when you retire. There, we'll see you in
when I
30 years.
retire, yeah, ask me that again in like 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't mind our business on that one. We gonna drive right past that one. So for the young ladies out there who are considering the world of bodybuilding and want to try to stay as natural as possible, what would you do to encourage them, or what do you have to encourage them?
Oh, that's a great question. So as I said, really, so we can't do anything by ourselves. So having good people around us, coaching staff is really important. Somebody can guide you. But then also just get in the gym. Just go and find. So for me, the joy is in the journey, right? Not so much the destination, right? So getting in the gym, creating that routine for yourself where you're training hard, thoroughly enjoying that. You're fueling your body. So you begin to look at nutrition in a different way. I don't like the word diet. I don't like that word. I like to say nutrition because you you utilize food to fuel performance, right? So yeah, dial in the nutrition, dial in your sleep, join a good gym. It's nothing like getting after it with other like-minded people, right? Have good coaching. Like those are for me, that's the crux if you really want to enter into this world and be successful for sure.
One thing about joining the gym, I would agree. We're both members of one of the coolest gyms in the world, even though right now they're going through their own personal journey. Shout out to our gym.
Yeah, shout
I'll say that
out,
much
good
because
stuff.
at the end of the day, I met some cool friends. I met some honorable people. And
Mhm.
I met some interesting people along the way too. So shout out to the gym family. And one thing about this world of fitness, even though people like to torment us and make fun of us, it's nothing better than the sacrifice you make to be in this world because you truly have some strong bonds with people who know what it feel like to say no to everything that's comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. You will learn to be comfortable with delayed gratification. That is for sure.
All right, my final question. Give me one quote that you live by.
Ooh. So this is something it's very basic, but this is something that my dad used to always say to me growing up. And it's really basic. It's not anything groundbreaking or earth-shattering, but never rest on one success. That's always something that he said to me growing up. And I don't think it's so much, I don't think it means like don't relish in your accomplishments thus far, but just don't also get complacent. Always have a goal in mind. You should celebrate, successes you've had, but also be looking to get to that next goal. So that's always, my dad said that to me since I was a little girl from as far back as I can remember. He said that to me, and I've just kind of lived by that. And I think that's why I've had success in multiple areas of my life.
Well, once again, thank you for your service. Thank you for your friendship and thank you for coming on my platform. This has been a very interesting conversation, and we will be having more in the future because I every once in a while I like to do a little panel, and I'm thinking about getting one together soon. So I will be sending you that information if I can get it
Please,
together. And I appreciate you, and
of course.
I will be hitting you up more often as I go through this journey because my mind is playing all types of tricks on me. So hey,
Well,
I need someone to encourage me to push me over this hump of 90 days of no fun stuff.
look, let me tell you, if anybody's gonna motivate you, it's me. So if motivation is what you need, I got you. I promise.
I appreciate you and I love you and I thank you for coming on here. And I
Thank you for
don't get to
having
see you in
me.
person too much often, but hey, I appreciate you. And next time I do see you, I'll make sure I give you a high five.
I Yeah, I will want nothing more. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. And once again, man, thank you for your service and thank you for everything you do for the fitness community. Because whether or not you know it or not, you inspire someone else to be great. Someone on this platform or someone on your own platform is looking at you and they're like, I want to be like this person because they're doing it the right way.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, that's if I can inspire like at least one person, then I feel like I've accomplished my goal for sure. But I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right, kids. See y'all next week. Salute.
Peace.